Hello, today is December 13th, and we are reading our lessons for this coming Sunday, which is the fourth and final Sunday of Advent, with Christmas coming the Saturday after that. So we are already at the end of this season of expectation, of waiting, and so we finally turn with this week we finally turn to uh, the expectation given to Mary of receiving the Messiah. But we start here with the prophet Micah. Our first reading comes from Micah chapter 5, verses 2 through 5. But you, O Bethlehem of Ephrathah, who are one of the little clans of Judah, from you shall come forth for me one who is to rule in Israel, whose origin is from ancient days. Therefore he shall give them up until the time when she who is in labor has brought forth. Then the rest of his kindred shall return to the people of Israel. And he shall stand and feed his flock in the strength of the Lord, in the majesty of the name of the Lord his God. And they shall live secure, for now he shall be great to the ends of the earth, and he shall be the one of peace. Word of God, word of life. Thanks be to God. So this text from Micah is a text that is referencing the future, but is rooted in Israel's past. It puts Bethlehem at the center of this prediction of a king to come. Now, why Bethlehem? Well, it's not random. Bethlehem is a town that exists today, but it is a very old settlement. It was a settlement that was around in the period of David's time. It was around in the period before David's time. It is in Judah, so it is in the southern part of David's old kingdom, and it was known as a productive place, a fertile place, a center of agriculture. Even if it wasn't very large, it was a productive village, and in fact, that is where it gets its name. Bethlehem is our English pronunciation of the Hebrew compound word Bet-lechem. That is, Bet means house, Lechem means bread. Bet-lechem is the house of bread. It's a bread basket. It's a place of plenty. It's where food is produced. And it first appears as an important place, not with Jesus, and not even with David, but with Ruth. So if you are familiar with the story of Ruth, this is the story of a woman who, in the time of the judges, so in the time before there were even kings in Israel, Ruth was a woman, not an Israelite, but a Moabite, someone who was outside of the local culture, who married a man from Bethlehem. And in time, she and she with the family, so with her husband, her husband's brother, her husband's father, his wife, and her sister-in-law, they all, as a group, moved to Bethlehem. So this family, the husband and his wife and his two sons, had moved out of Bethlehem. The two sons got married, went back to Bethlehem. And so Ruth was a foreigner living there, and all of the men in their lives died. So this family was left without any men. And so if you are familiar with the story, Ruth stays with her mother-in-law, Naomi. Her sister-in-law leaves to go back to her family, but Ruth stays. And so as the story goes on, Ruth finds a home here. And Ruth is a story of a foreigner showing familial loyalty, showing faith and strength in the face of adversity. And in time, Ruth, that foreigner, is the ancestor of David. So Ruth, the faithful foreigner, is part of this story. She is a founding figure in the line of David, and so she is so from somewhere else came the line of David, and the line of David then is rooted here in Bethlehem, this small village, and Samuel then meets the young boy David, and he is a shepherd boy. And so, in contrast to Saul, who is the renowned warrior, David is anointed by the prophet Samuel to become the new king. And he is from little Bethlehem of Ephrathah, one of the little clans of Judah. Not central to the kingship, not central to any military leadership. There is no connection to Joshua. There is no connection to Moses or Aaron. The history or any particular connection to the family of to the line of Joseph or any of the patriarchs other than being a clan of Judah. They are not important. They're the second cousins. And they live in a little town that is known for making bread. And so in the course of Micah reaching back to where David comes from, he's not talking about finding peace through who David became, which was a military leader and a king, and someone who made many mistakes as king. But instead, the prophet Micah is reaching back to Bethlehem to find an image of a king and a leader who is a shepherd, who will stand and feed his flock, whose strength is founded not on his military might, because Bethlehem is not a place known for military might, whose strength is founded on God alone, who is supported by God alone. Bethlehem has no claim to glory, and so you are reliant on God's glory alone. And as the shepherd king, he is the one of peace, who is one of security, one of abundance, as he comes from Bethlehem, but especially one of peace. So we as Christians connect Jesus, who in our narrative is from Bethlehem, who is identified with the family of David, who is identified with a little clan, a little pocket in the world. That even though he is from Nazareth, the narrative that puts him as born in Bethlehem means that he is both in line with David and a fulfillment of this personage of peace and power. And power not the power that is not reliant on might or strength, but is reliant on God's staying power alone. Micah is quite hard on the powers that be that were in place in his own time. But Micah puts faith into this Prince of Peace, the Shepherd King. And as we are going to read through our scriptures this week, we're going to meet, or we are primed to meet the Shepherd King ourselves. All right. I hope you're having a good week. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.